Hello, and welcome back to Copilot. This is part 3 of our flight to Tampa International down in Florida. In part 2, we set up the FMC, and here in part 3, or in part 1, I should say, we did our flight planning. In part 2, we set up the FMC, and here in part 3, we're going to get the aircraft going, taxi out to our runway, and make our departure here. So let's not waste any more time and get right to it. Okay, so like I said, in part 2, we set up our FMC here. You can see our FMC is all set up here. So we're good to go in that aspects. So what we need to do now is set up our aircraft and get ready to taxi out and get our engine started, get the show on the road. So let's start doing that. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is find my my checklist. It's right there. Not sure why I got a suspicious thing from Bitdefender there, but anyways, okay. I brought up my flight plan. I'll show it to you here. Bring it over here. This is just a generic PDF flight plan I downloaded. I can't even remember where I downloaded it, but it's good. It's a generic one. It's basic, and it'll get you from a cold and dark state situation into started and on your way. It works. So I'll try to make this available down in the PDF. We'll see what we can do to make this available so others can download it. And yeah, so that's the flight plan, or the checklist I use to set up my PMDG 737 fly. Okay, so let's get started with this parking brake set. I don't know why I keep getting that little pop-up there. Okay, our parking brake is set. Our battery switch is on, check. Electric fuel pumps on, check. Ground power connection on, check. Landing gear lever down, 3 green, check. Engine APU fire warning, test. So come down here and test our fire warning systems. That's good. That's good. Test the right side. And that's good. I'll go back up to our overhead. IRS set to nav. We've done that. Check. Yaw damper on. Check. Emergency exit lights armed. Check. Seatbelt, no smoking signs on. Check. Flap lever up. Check. Whoop. Was not up, it was all the way down. So our flap lever is now up. Brake lever down, check. Galley switch on. Whoops. And our galley switch is on. Window heat on. Check. Probe heat off. Check. ACARS on. Check. Alright, pre-flight checklist complete. We can go ahead and do our before start checklist. FMC programmed. Check. Flight director on. So flight directors, are on. Auto throttle switch off. Check. Indicated airspeed Mach indicator set. So memory serves me right. Our takeoff speed was 134. So we'll set that. We're taking off on runway 23, so our heading is 237. Set that. And according to our standard instrument departure, our altitude is going to be 5,000 feet. Okay, so that's set. Indicated airspeed indicator set, heading selector set, altitude selector set, autopilot disengage bar up, check. Alright, thrust lever set to idle, check. Stabilizer trim set, check. Auto brake set, reject takeoff, set to RTO. APU start. Let's come up here, start our APU. APU bleed switch on. Check. Losing my spot here. APU switch on. APU bleed switch on. We'll jump around our checklist a bit here. Set up our cabin pressure. Whoop. 37,050. We'll go down. Set up our transponder on 2000 since we're not using any ATC. And set to standby. We'll go ahead and test that. We'll come back up here. Still waiting on our APU. Turn on our fuel switches. There's our APU. So APU gen on. Check. There we go. Transponder set test. Okay, and we just did that. So before start checks are complete, we can go ahead to our before pushback checks. Fuel pump switches are on, check. APU generator switches on, check. Seatbelt signs confirmed, check. Flight deck doors and windows locked, check. Ground equipment disconnect. So we'll come back down to our FMC. And we'll disconnect our ground services. Check. Ground equipment disconnected. Check. Anti-collision lights on. Oh, damn. Keep knocking this thing. Anti-collision lights on. Turn on our wing light and our position lights. Okay. Before start checklist complete. Now we can go ahead and do our pushback. Come back over to our menu. We'll come back here and we'll go to pushbacks. Since we're in Toronto, I'm familiar with this airport and know it's 350 feet to the line, so we'll enter that. And we're taking off runway 23. Memory serves me right. Yes, it is 23. Okay, so we want our nose left. So we want a straight out standard L with our nose left. We're going to select our tug and we're ready to start our pushback. So we'll go ahead and click start. I'm going to jump into the jump seat because that's where I like to do my start from. I can see everything from here. Releasing parking brakes.
Brakes released.
We're going to start right engine first, left engine second.
Brakes released. Here we go.
Alright, our pushback is starting. Alright, we can go ahead and start our engines. Starting right engine. We're going to watch our N2 spool up. When it gets to 20%, I'm going to introduce our fuel. There's 20. There's fuel. Going to watch for the N1 and EGT to spool up. And both are active. So once our engine is started, it'll automatically flip back to off, and we'll wait for a steady, stable start, and we'll go ahead and start our left engine. Okay, so it's stopped off. Wait for our engine to stabilize. Engine is stable. Starting left engine. We'll do the same for the left. N2 hits 20%. We'll introduce fuel.
Pushback complete. Parking brake set.
Setting parking brake.
Brake set.
There's 20. There's fuel. Watching N2 and EGT.
Your pin is pulled. Watch for the salute and release from guidance on your right. After in flight.
Salute the ground crew. See ya. Thank ya. And we're gonna wait for a stable start on our left engine. Left engine started. And stable. And both engines are in sync and syncing up. Okay, we got our engine started. We can jump back to our checklist. After start checks, engine generator switches 1 and 2 on. So I'll come up here to our engine generator switches 1 and 2 on. Check. APU bleed off. Check. APU as needed. Don't need our APU anymore, so we're going to shut that off. Probe heat switches 1 and 2 on. Probe heat switches 1 and 2 on. Check. Master caution system recheck. Master caution checked and clear. Engine wing anti-ice. What's the temp here? We're below 10 degrees, so we'll go ahead and turn the engine anti-ice on. We won't worry about the wing anti-ice. We have no icing yet. Alright, anti-ice on. Pack switches left and right set to auto. Left, right, auto, check. Isolation switch to auto, check. Taxi clearance obtained, check. Transponder, TARA, check. And our after start checklist complete. We can go ahead and do our taxi checks. Our taxi lights are on, check. Runway lights are on, check. Turn off lights on, check. We can set our flaps. We'll set our flaps to 5. check. And flight controls check. We'll check our flight controls. Hate that white bar. Systems. Full left aileron, good. Neutral, good. Full left aileron, good. Neutral, good. Full back, check. Neutral. Full forward, check. Neutral, good. Full left rudder, full right rudder. Control systems, check. Set that back to engine. And our taxi complete. It's our check. All right. We're ready to taxi off. So we'll finish setting up a couple things that I like to set up here. Set up my display here. And we'll set this one on 10. And we're good there. Yeah, let's get our FMC set up. Let's go over and check our other one. Set that on FMC. We'll set this one to our legs page. So we got that set up. So okay, our FMCs, our instrument. Okay, we're good to go and ready to taxi. So here we go. Let's taxi out to runway 23. We'll bring up our Navigraph charts here for a second here, and we'll bring up our overlay so I can show you what we got going on here. We're here. We're gonna taxi along Juliet here. We're gonna cross 15 right. We're gonna cross 15 left, and we're gonna hold short up here for runway 23 at the Cat 3 holding area there. So that's gonna be our taxi. So not too far to taxi. It's pretty good. We're in a convenient location here. So yeah, that's our diagram there. So we'll scroll that back out so when I take off, and we'll get our map centered and back to up here. I know the way, so I don't need the map for that. So just wanted to give you an idea of where we're taxiing to. So let's get going. Bring our power up to 40%, get our roll going here. And we'll start our taxi out. Just to keep everything simple, I have ATC shut off. Just doing a demonstration flight showing how I navigate my way around Microsoft Flight Simulator and the PMDG 737. So we're going to taxi out here. We have traffic shut off also. So we got nothing getting in our way here. Now, I don't know why I have ambient cabin sounds going when I'm flying the cargo variant, but I do have FS Realistic going. So those sound effects you're hearing in the background, that's what that is. I should have had that turned off, but it's okay. We'll pretend we got some jump riders on board. They're making a lot of noise in the background. Okay, here we go across 15 right. We're going to continue taxiing up. Alright, we'll continue our taxi up here. Slow down a bit, we're taxiing way too fast. Okay, off to our left here. This is the Sky Service area at Toronto Pearson International. A lot of the GA flights work out of there. Yeah, so I do use FS Realistic. I also have the Tobii eye tracker. I do use that. I don't have that on right now. I can turn it on if you like. There we go. We'll center it. And there you go. We have the Tobii going. I can see everything. I don't use the Tobii much. I use it a lot in general aviation when I fly GA aircraft, but I don't use it much when I fly the airliners. This is runway 15 left. Crossing over that. And we'll continue to our hold short area up ahead of us for runway 23. Okay, and we can see our holding area right there ahead of us. Runway 23, cat 123. And here we are. 23 cat holding area. Pearson Toronto International. Alright, we'll hold short here. And let's pause this eye tracker here. And okay, we'll go back to our checklist and we'll do our before checks. Okay, before takeoff checks. Auto throttle. Our auto throttle is on, check. Turn on our LNAV. We'll engage our VNAV. Alright, engine start switches. Onto constant. Check. Master caution system recall. Checked and clear. Transponder TARA. Check. Whoops. Make sure here. Yes, sir. We're good. Landing lights and strobe lights. Let's come back up here. Get our landing lights on. Get our strobe lights on. We don't need logo lights. It's daytime. Our collision lights, wing lights. We're good. So our strobes are on. And we're good. Before check off checklist complete. Alright. So we are ready for our departure here. Quick little briefing here. We're going to be doing a VNAV departure. So we're going to take off, maintain runway heading, climb to 1,100 feet, at which point we'll engage the autopilot. Then the LNAV, VNAV will take over and we'll start flying our departure. We'll do a rolling start on this takeoff since Boeing recommends it, and we have no ATC in traffic and we're able to, so we'll do that. So let's get going. Release our brakes, which I don't have on. It's good. Bring my power up to 40% as we're starting to roll out here. Just a little under 40 here. I'm just going to make sure our power is stable and in sync. And we are stable. And even out my throttles here. And we are in sync. And we're going to roll right out onto the runway. When we're lined up with the runway, we're going to engage the toga. And off we go. And the winds are pretty calm here, so I guess Navigraph was right. Here we are, lined up with the runway. Engaging toga. Forward pressure until we hit 80 knots. Just slight forward pressure, not much.
Airspeed's live. 80 knots.
Here's our 80. We'll release the back forward pressure.
V1 rotate. V2.
And we're up.
Positive rate of climb.
Gear up. And we'll follow our flight director here until we reach 1,100. And then we'll engage our autopilot. There's our 1,100. There's our autopilot. The aircraft is turning according to our departures. Our speed bug has jumped up to the 204 that we set. Flaps 2. Our speed's coming up. Flaps 1. And flaps up. We got no ATC, so we'll vector ourselves. We can set our altitude 180, flight level 180 here, so we don't interrupt our climb. And there we go. Radar contact. We'll pretend ATC is vectored us direct Myrno. So we'll click on Myrno, copy it into the scratch pad, hit it, put it in over vectors, and hit execute. Now the aircraft is turning direct vernal. We're climbing to 18,000 feet. Our speed is at 250 knots like we set up on the FMC, and it'll stay here until we reach 10,000 feet. And we just monitor everything and making sure the FMC is doing what we've programmed it to do. If we were flying with ATC, we would be communicating and following ATC vectors, and using the FMC and the autopilot to help us do that. But since we have no ATC, we're vectoring ourselves. And right now we've given ourselves direct permission, direct Myrno. Okay, so off we go. That was a VNAV takeoff using the toga. We've climbed through 10,000 feet. We can increase our speed, so we come down to our climb page here and we can hit Econ. Execute. And if we look at our speed bug, it's jumped up here now, 280 or 283, and we can go ahead and start cleaning up the aircraft. Could have started doing that a little sooner, but I'm not a pro, so there we go. Landing lights off, runway turn off lights off, reject takeoff off. When we get to 18,000, we'll switch over our altitude over to our standard, and just make sure we're doing what we're supposed to be doing. Everything looks good so far. The weather over Toronto here is just great, looks great. Winds are calm. Couldn't ask for more. Got a master caution fuel light. Come up to our overhead. Our center tanks are empty. We'll turn our center tank fuel pumps off. So we'll go good. We'll clean up the rest of the aircraft. Come back up here. Landing lights off. Engine start switches off. We're good. Whoops. Our climate control temps are good. We're good. And our cabin pressure is climbing as it should be. We're good. So we got the aircraft cleaned up and we're approaching Myrno. Actually, we passed Myrno. We're approaching Oakville, our second waypoint, which is 6.16 kilometers, nautical miles, kilometers. All right, there you have it, folks. That's how we do our takeoff using the FMC. I'm telling you, a lot of people are weary. They think the FMC is complicated. It's really not that bad. And the FMC could be the co-pilot you don't have. That warning sign is that we're approaching our 18,000 feet, so we'll go ahead and increase our altitude. We'll set that 280. Nah, too late. I interrupted our climb. So the aircraft's leveling off for 18,000 feet. So to fix that, I'm just going to click on our VNAV, turn it off, and re-engage our VNAV. Got the VNAV re-engaged, and we should see our vertical speed start to climb again, and we'll resume our climb to 280. And since we're past 18,000, we're gonna set our altitude to standard, our barometer. Oh, excuse me, standard. And there we go. Crossing through 18,000, 19,000, flight level 190 for 280. Speed 282. We're good. Got a bit of a tailwind at 61 knots. It's not too bad. It's giving us a good ground speed. And if we bring up our Navigraph charts here quickly, we can show you. And there we go. There's our aircraft on our moving maps. We're inbound to Beats, and yeah, everything looks good. There's our wind information, and we're good. It's showing us IFR conditions in Tampa, so yeah, it definitely looks like we're getting some weather when we go into Tampa. So our approach and arrival and approach should be fun into Tampa. So I would join us on part 4 for our approach and arrivals videos. But in part 3 here, I'm going to take you up to our cruise altitude. I won't bore you with the cruise over. That's pretty standard. We're just monitoring systems. I think everybody can work their way through that. So I'll just take you to our top of climb, which is coming in 66 nautical miles. In about 8 minutes. So yeah, like I was saying before, friends, that's how you program the FMC and use the FMC. Make it the co-pilot you don't have, and it'll go a long ways in helping you stay in front of the aircraft. Because the number one thing you want to do in aviation is, one, stay in front of your aircraft, and that FMC really helps you do that. Being a single pilot in a 737 the workload's a lot. When you have ATC and you have traffic and standard standard instrument departures and arrivals, and you got all that going on, it's a lot for one guy. So if you're interested in flying in like VATSIM, then I would learn to use that FMC and turn it into that co-pilot you don't have. It's going to make life a lot easier. It's going to help you aviate, navigate, and communicate a lot better. So we're crossing through 270 for 280. So, whoops. So we're going to bring our altitude right up to 370 now. Hope I didn't interrupt my climb again. We'll find out in a second. And it looks like I changed my altitude on time this time. We're not going to level off and continue our climb. So we're going to climb straight up to 370. .4 inbound to Samo. Yeah, there you go. It's that easy. There's not much to it. You know, using Navigraph and SimBrief and the FMC, yeah, it just makes it a much more enjoyable experience in flying the airliners. Some people say, but you got to learn how to fly manually, which I agree. It's important to learn how to fly manually. I fly manually a lot. But it's just as important to learn the systems of the aircraft you're flying. Learn the FMC, learn your autopilot, learn how it all works together, and you know, combining that with manual flying, yeah, you can put it all together into a package that works pretty good for you. So we're almost at our top of climb here. Just clean up our heading bug here. Keep that going, and we just monitor all our systems. If we were flying with ATC, we would be working. Oh shoot, I hit my trim wheel and disengaged my autopilot. It's the one thing I hate about the Bravo throttle quadrant. I use the Alpha Flight Yoke and the Bravo throttle quadrant. They're both just fantastic pieces of kit. They're right in that middle range, so they're not cheap, and they're not $1,000 either. You know, but like everything else, everything's got its pros and cons, and you know, as much as I love the Bravo throttle quadrant, that trim wheel drives me nuts a little bit. If you tap it and bump it, it yeah, turns off your autopilot, as you see there. So yeah, but other than that, absolutely love the Bravo. It's great. So is the Alpha Flight Yoke. The two of them took me a little curve to get used to using them, but once you get the hang of it, they're not too bad. So we can see our top of climb approaching, and yeah, we're good. Uneventful flight, besides me knocking off the autopilot and stuff. But yeah, like I said, I'm not a professional airline pilot showing you how the pros do it. You know, I'm not even a professional flight simmer. I'm just a novice guy that likes to fly in Microsoft Flight Simulator. I'm not a pro at it. I'm not a pro at flying these aircraft. And I just wanted to put out a series out there to show you how I navigate my way around flying this aircraft, and you know how you as a beginner can do it too. Hopefully this series of videos gave you some pointers and tips and some ideas, and you know, show you how you can do it. If you do it the way I did it, yeah, for most flights you should have no problem. You'll go through your learning curves there a little bit. You'll make a mistake here or there, but yeah, it's not the FMC. Like everybody else, I was like, oh, this thing is a nightmare when I first started. Totally didn't understand it. I didn't understand stars, didn't understand SIDS. Yeah, but yeah, if I can figure that stuff out, everybody else can figure it out too. It's not rocket scientist by any means. And using SimBrief, Navigraph, the PMDG 737, using the making use of the FMC, putting that all together just makes it an enjoyable experience. So here we come, last 1,000 feet to our top of descent, and it's been uneventful. And the weather's been good. Can give you guys an outside look here, what's going on. Some of my future videos I'll give you better cinegraphics, but that's where we're going on. You can even use your Tobii eye tracker out here, turn that on. We can have a look around, and yeah, it's all good. So yeah, there we go, folks. Leveling off our top of descent. We'll do our cruise checks, and everything will be good, and then we'll just monitor everything until we approach our top of descent, and I'll be back with you as we're approaching our top of descent, and I'll show you how we use the FMC to do our arrival and approach. So until next time, we'll see you in part 4, our final video in our Toronto to Tampa flight. So until next time, folks, stay safe.